I'll go home tonight. I'll drink my yak and smoke my stick, and I'll get it back cracking. Yeah, we are in the building for this second edition of Slap Nation. Pound that like, subscribe, become a member today. As you know, your Slap t-shirts that you guys, first 10 members will get, those will be going out here this week. I just got them back, so I'll be sending those out to all those loyal first 10 members to the show, to the channel. Brand new channel, already growing. Appreciate all you guys jumping on in here every Monday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, the Slap Nation. You can get your Slap Nation t-shirts all over the internet at CoachJBStore.com. Plus, we got the Slap Nation bucket hats coming and the trucker hats as well, and the hoodies. So Slap Nation has its own merch on the website today. So go check it out. You can get you some now on CoachJBStore.com. All things LA. And if you guys got questions and you want something brought up, make sure you drop it in the chat below. Bailey and I will get to it. And without further ado, my main man, co-host of Slap Nation, our main man, producer extraordinaire, Bailey Price Media, joins the channel. What up, Bailey?
Coach, happy Monday. We got a lot to talk about here on this fine Slap Nation show on this fine Monday. We're going to talk
Second show, Bailey. Second show already here. Second show, man. I can't wait to get into it. Got a lot to discuss today, including Matthew Stafford, Lincoln Riley canceling USC's spring game, along with Texas and others. The Raiders are reportedly interested in trading up for Cam Ward, and if not, they might get Shedeur Sanders at 6. I have a different take, but we'll discuss that. Last Chance U season 1 star Ronald Ollie went on a podcast and described why he got cut from the Raiders, or his side of the story, so to speak. And Coach, I know you got a reaction to that, but man, this is gonna be a great show. Coach, how you feeling? This is our second show in the building. If you're watching, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and become a member of Slap Nation. Coach, how you feeling? I'm good, man. We got a lot to discuss. Second show. Bailey, let's clarify. So this show will be Monday, Wednesday, Fridays going forward, but we're gonna have to start that segment Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We'll start next Monday because this Wednesday and Friday I have a big old event. But next Monday it'll start Monday, Wednesday, Friday as the beginning of March. As March 1st hits, we'll be going 3 days a week on this channel, on this show. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. So you'll get 3 live shows of Slap Nation, 5 live shows of the Coach AB show with Big Smitty. So make sure you tune in, tap in, and spread the word. Slap Nation, especially as we get into college football spring games that Bailey just mentioned, or lack thereof, we'll be discussing that on this show, All Things LA. So let's dive into it, Bailey.
Well, let's dive into it, Coach. We got a lot to talk about. You see the thumbnail. Is Matthew Stafford done in LA? So we got a lot to cover in this story. But long story short, the Rams have given Matthew Stafford's agent permission to speak to other teams. And there's already been a lot of developments. Matthew Stafford reportedly wants over $50 million a year on his new contract, which is a huge development, as well as there are 4 teams showing interest in Matthew Stafford, including the Giants, Browns, the Steelers, and the Raiders. Coach, I know last week we discussed that reasons why the Rams should keep Stafford, but now with this development, what are your thoughts on the future of Matthew Stafford and the Rams? Is he done in LA?
Nah, I don't think he's done. I think it'd be asinine for him to leave. But listen, man, it is LA. I live here. I know what the taxes are. I know what the property taxes are. I know what the cost of gasoline is. I know what the cost of eggs are. I know that this is the highest rent district per capita in America. San Diego actually is number 1. Beverly Hills in LA and Palisades, it just burnt down, is number 2. And that's contrary to belief, where Matthew Stafford and his lovely wife lived. So having said all that, he knows the price of taxes. He knows what $50 million really is in LA, which is probably $25 million, is going to probably be cut in half. So I believe he's in the right. I believe he's in the right for asking for it. Will he get it? I don't know. He's 36. He's on the other side
of his greatness, but I'll argue he's still top 3 in the NFL. I'm going to be honest. I think he's still a top 3 ball spinner. I think he's number 1 ball spinner. I think he's a top 3 quarterback, period, in the NFL right now. And he proved that in the snow against the Eagles on a hostile environment on the road. He was a play away from winning, possibly being another second Super Bowl champ ring on his finger. We don't know. I think they beat the Chiefs and Washington Commanders, who they would have played next with no problems. And I think they're that close away. And McVay having and being the trigger caller, the trigger puller and the play caller, with him, I think it makes perfect sense for him to stay as far as football goes. Now, if him and his wife have some other alternative motive to go to New York, another number 1 media market in America, I could see that too, but he's 36. Does he want to start over with another good quarterback guru, Brian Daboll, at the Giants? I don't see it. I don't see him wanting to start over. Brian Daboll is a good coach to be with, but they don't have close to the weapons the Rams have. They don't have close to the infrastructure the Rams have. And to be honest, I'd rather live in LA than New York right now, even though both are politically fucked places. New York's even worse. New York's even worse. So I don't know. The weather, the food, I'd rather be here in LA, be able to go to the beach year round, etc. So I don't think at 36 years old he should be shopping. But I do understand he should be top couple highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL from what he's performing, what he's producing still at this age. I think he's still performing and producing better than anyone else, especially at that age. 4 years younger than Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers just got paid at 38. Why shouldn't he get paid at 36? And he already has the same amount of rings Aaron Rodgers has, let's be honest. And he played for a much worse franchise for his whole career in Detroit. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Now, Raiders make sense because there's no tax state.
Right.
But what are the Raiders going to give to the Rams to get them?
That's a good question. The Raiders already don't have a lot of pieces as it is, and they have a top 5 or top 10 pick, the 6th overall pick that I think they might use.
Maybe as a Ram fan, I hope he don't go, right? Obviously, as a Ram fan, I want to see him stay. As a Matthew Stafford fan, I want him to get paid, but I also understand as a business side, Les Snead makes the great decisions. I think he's top 2 GMs in the NFL. He's made some great pickups with Nakua, Verse, the D lineman, the pass rusher. They got a great D lineman, great defensive players in the draft that nobody else thought about picking. Nakua, they got another receiver coming down the pipe that's going to be really good that showed some signs this year. They're going to get rid of Kupp, and do they get Devontae Adams, which rumors are heavy? We'll get to that, I'm sure. Do they get another big time receiver? Can they pull off a T Higgins? I don't know. Do they get a DK Metcalf, which rumors that he can be shopped, and maybe Kansas City, maybe Raiders, other teams are trying to get DK Metcalf. Is Seattle going to blow that thing up in the Pacific Northwest? Rumors of Russell Wilson going to the Vegas Raiders with a guy like, Lockett.
Mm-hmm.
What happens? And the West is wide open is my point. The Niners are falling. Arizona's on the climb, but they're still a couple years away. I don't believe they have the quarterback to win there. And Seattle is in a turmoil, in my opinion, with a young head coach who I believe is over his head in Seattle. So McVay is in the driver's seat with a Shanahan-led Niners team that seems to be aging in front of our very eyes, and the Rams are getting younger. So
right.
I don't know why you'd want to leave in a division that you can win and proven that you can win. And remember, you're in the playoffs every year. The Niners missed the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think if you look at the Raiders division, much tougher. Steelers division, much tougher. Same with the Browns, obviously, and the Giants, for that matter. The Commanders are much better. The Eagles won the Super Bowl. So, yeah, that's a given. Coach, let me ask you, and I think that we want to see Stafford stay in L.A., but we're seeing the Rams allowing his agent to speak with other teams. Do they not want to pay Matthew Stafford $50 million? And what do the Rams do at quarterback next?
That's the thing, man. They're not going to go in the draft. Sean McVay's not going to coach a rookie. He's not. At this age, at this stage, he's not. Even though he's a young head coach, he's not going to coach a rookie. Why would you want to start over in L.A.? He's already rumored to be cooked. As far as mentally, he's rumored 3 years in a row to retire at 37, 38 years old as a head coach. He's like, hey, I can go and chill with my model wife in L.A., chill. Why would you start over as the head coach if you are that close, a play away from beating the Super Bowl champs? Why would you want to start over with a quarterback? Now, does he think he can get Aaron Rodgers to fill in for a year to win? I'd rather have Stafford. To be honest, I'll take Stafford over Aaron Rodgers right now all day.
I agree, especially after last season. The Rams were a play away, a third and one away from beating the Eagles, in my opinion, where they have a rookie center getting bull rushed by Jalen Carter. And you think about it, that Rams team this season was very injured, a lot of different injuries that Stafford had to deal with, and he still led them to the playoffs versus you see the 49ers and Brock Purdy being the same situation, and the 49ers didn't make the playoffs. So, yeah, I think you have a great point. I think Stafford's a top 3 quarterback in the NFL for sure. I don't know how you can argue that, but the Rams don't want to pay him, and they want to move forward, possibly the free agent. If Aaron Rodgers goes to L.A.
Yeah, like who's out there? So Aaron Rodgers.
Russell Wilson.
A familiar foe could help him out. And what I mean is McVay's assistant is now the head coach in Minnesota, took a guy like Sam Darnold, ran the same system, ran McVay's system. So does McVay take Sam Darnold? Is he good enough? Because those are also rumors out here in LA as of this morning. Those are rumors that could be a replacement for for Stafford. It could be Sam Darnold. He knows the system. He would come into a system-friendly environment because they run the same offense. It's McVay's system that Minnesota runs. So is that a fit? There is no replacement. There is no bridge. I would say Aaron Rodgers is the bridge if you got a guy like Nakua and you grab a Devontae Adams or somebody like that to go with a Tutu Atwell in the slot. And you go with another guy, they got the rookie that they had last year who's a big, strapping, long kid that can go outside and play. They got Higbee's a really good tight end, and they got a great running game. Can they go sure it up and get a? Is the center going to be just more experienced now and go with them? Or are they going to go get a center? Are they going to replace the tackles? They had a makeshift O-line. They had 21 rotations up front last year, more than any other team in the NFL. Early on, they had their O-line drop like flies. They still made the playoffs, which is why I always will have McVay over Shanahan, because both teams were injury-riddled, but one team figured it out. One team fell and faltered, and that's the Frisco Niners. So and again, McVay has a Super Bowl. Shanahan doesn't. So I always have Mike Shanahan below McVay in the pecking order of coaches. Having said that, is there a replacement for Stafford? I don't see it. Not in this free agent class, and it's definitely not in the draft. So I would be doing everything I could to sign Stafford to – I would be honest, I'll sign him to a 4-year deal and just say fuck it, and Les Snead makes it work. Why do I sound crazy saying that? People out there will say he's old, but Aaron Rodgers is 40. Aaron Rodgers and him have the same amount of rings the last time I checked. You know what the difference is? One of these guys has beat the Niners multiple times. One hasn't.
That is true. Very true, Coach. It's a great
I'm rolling with Stafford, man. I'm rolling with Stafford over Aaron Rodgers, and I would invest in a 4-year deal with him and let him retire here in L.A. at 40. And if he leaves early, so be it. You leave 38, 39, okay, but you get a couple years more out of him. You're that close to winning. And why would you disrupt the comfort zone that has been built here in L.A. with McVay and him? Because these are the two catalysts in L.A. to make this system run, to make this engine turn. It's McVay and Stafford. I don't want to see McVay start over with a new guy and then a guy that's set in his ways also in Aaron Rodgers and saying, I like this and I like that. And you know what I mean? You want a guy that's Stafford. You know, McVay has shown that he can motherfuck Stafford and still coach him hard, and they have the respect level there. I would keep Stafford and sign him and offer him a 4-year deal. And listen, is Stafford becoming a little selfish? Maybe at this age, everyone else is doing it, but he has made the third most money in NFL history.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And let's put a summary to this conversation for now. If you had to make a prediction with all this noise with Matthew Stafford, agents shopping teams, and he wants $50 million a year, is Matthew Stafford done in LA, Coach? If you had to make a prediction right now.
Nah, I think he stays. I think they figure a way. I think Les Snead's too highly regarded as a GM. I think he's underrated GM. I think he figures it out. And I think they get him to stay for a couple years, if not one. So I think they get him to stay, and I think that Stafford's a Ram. I think this is all probably just negotiating tactics in the business, and it's a very, very gray area for me because he was in Detroit for all those years in a bad organization, and he immediately leaves and wins a Super Bowl right away. I think the man could have 3 or 4 rings if he was in a competent organization. Now Detroit is competent, but it's just too late. He's gone, obviously. Right, Stafford could have a few rings, in my opinion, if he was a Ram or somewhere else earlier in his career. And we'd be talking about this guy in the GOAT conversation possibly if he has 3 or 4 rings. Who knows? He's that good talented-wise. So I don't know. I don't know. But I think he stays. They figure it out. I think it's too much to lose. If they lose him, both parties are done. He's done if he goes anywhere else. Like, there's no other organization for him to go to at this age and have success. If he's the third highest paid ever, he should be on the Tom Brady side of things thinking, all right, let me sacrifice a little bit. We're not hurting financially. Let me sacrifice a little to win one more ring to put me over the Aaron Rodgers discussion as maybe even a guy that goes down as a better rate quarterback overall in the history of quarterbacks. I would be thinking that way if I'm him, but I'm not him and I don't know. But I guess my bias is starting to take over. I would like him to stay, obviously. I think the Rams are very close to another Super Bowl.
And that's my point is I think the Rams are so freaking close in a division that I think is very winnable for them. And if compared to these 4 teams, I think it's really tough if Stafford goes anywhere else.
Those are teams? Yeah, those are
4 teams right now that are showing interest, those 4.
So Giants have no shot. They're years away. Cleveland has no shot, I would argue. Does that keep Myles Garrett in Cleveland? I don't know. Steelers, you're not far away, but you're not close enough.
Well, tough division.
Raiders are the furthest thing, in my opinion. Maybe the Giants. I don't know, but there's no team there that he can go and there's no Kansas City Chief. There's no Philadelphia Eagle. There's no Frisco. There's no other team in the NFL, really. Like, let's be honest. The Jets? I don't think they're close enough anymore.
I think they will draft a rookie. I think they're going to take the poison of that there and go try and get a rookie. But, yeah, I'm with you. If I had to make a prediction now, I think this is a lot of negotiation tactic noise. Whoever's putting this stuff out, I really believe that Stafford will end up in LA and they will rebuild and try and make a run at another Super Bowl. Shit, they were so damn close this season. So, but, man, Coach, let's move forward. I got to ask you about this topic that I know you're just going to have a great take on it. And this is a big topic in college football, talking USC football here on Slap Nation. Lincoln Riley and USC have joined Nebraska, Ohio State, Texas, and others in canceling their spring game. Coach, I know that this is college football is different. Different era. This is the Wild Wild West. Different. Everything's different now. Where everyone's canceling their spring games. Nebraska and Matt Rule have say it's due to tampering and their players getting poached. I think Sark and Texas kind of have a different reasoning behind canceling their spring game. And now Lincoln Riley and USC have joined suit. Coach, what do you got to say about Lincoln Riley canceling USC's spring game?
I don't know, man. I'm hearing a lot of crazy things here in LA from high school coaching buddies of mine, high school coaches. We're going to have on this show to talk about LA in totality because LA high school coaches are not pleased with him. A couple buddies of mine just attended a Black Coaches Association that was held at SoFi Stadium this past weekend. Pete Carroll attended and spoke briefly and left. A lot of big-name coaches went to it. Lincoln was also there, I heard, a couple of his staff. And they did a coaching clinic there at SoFi. Cisco and a few others were there with their staffs. And rumors out of there are that their recruiting class has been really good. They've had a real good recruiting class this offseason. And a good friend of mine is responsible for bringing the players in there. He's been there as the interim before. And the rumors are that he is on the discussion block as being Lincoln's head coach replacement earlier than later. And I found that interesting out of this weekend when the rumblings from the schools, the high school coaches were saying that the rumors are that they want him out of SC because he has not really brought LA into USC. The community, the surrounding South Central high school coaches. When you lose St. John Bosco and modern day high school players, and the coaches don't want anything to do with you at USC anymore, when Pete Carroll used to have the gates open for practice and Snoop Dogg and Debo and fucking you name it, were at practice and the music was glaring and you invited all the high school coaches to come in and clinic actually during spring practice, and it was a big deal. When you shut the gates and tell high school coaches in LA that we don't allow open practice, there's a problem, dog. And you're the fucking staple in LA as a college football program, and you're shutting it down to high school surrounding coaches and neighborhoods. You can't be loved in a city of LA. I could see the rumors flaring around that they want him out of there. And you failed. You failed right. So far through 3 years. You failed, and you've literally, I can argue, you've gotten worse every year. Yeah. Every year. So, it is what it is. I don't know what JJ Redick has to do with fucking football, but apparently it does in the chat to a bunch of fucking nobodies. Here's the issue.
Spring game. Go ahead.
Yeah. Now, why are you canceling spring? Why are we canceling? So, again, we're adhering to the players' narrative and the NCAA, Non-Carrying Nationals of America, who refuse to stand on business and call out other poaching programs for stealing players. Mm-hmm. And if Nebraska and Matt Rule and Day at Ohio State, who just won the Natty, I would argue they're not doing a spring ball because the season's so long now that you have gone into your winter conditioning and spring season because your fucking college national championship ended, 3.5 weeks ago, barely?
Yeah, like a month, yeah.
So you're already into the new year when you play your national championship, when most places are getting ready for spring ball, winter conditioning, etc. I would argue Ohio State's not worried about getting their players poached as they are trying to get back healthy and refreshed because they just had a fucking 12-month damn season almost. So, I mean, let's be honest, their season's now 8 months long.
Yeah, so it's a lot longer season for sure.
We're turning this into professional football. It's a matter of a few years before spring ball is absolved and we don't even have it anymore. So, but Nebraska's come out and said, we don't want our guys poached, so we're not going to do spring ball. To me, that's a cop-out. I like Matt Rule and all that, but, come on, man. I'm not losing my player. I'm not. Right. I'm gonna have my fucking spring ball wherever you want. Mm-hmm. Now, Lincoln Riley in LA to cancel that, it's even worse for the high school guys in LA that don't have anything to do during this time of the year to bring their players up to school, see campus, meet coaches, do all those things. I think it's even a bigger loss for a guy like SC to not have spring ball. And I know Sark has done it recently as well at Texas.
I don't think that Lincoln Riley would have canceled it for tampering reasons. I think I don't think USC and Nebraska and Texas have the same, recruiting issues like Nebraska would getting their players poached. But one thing I want to show is Sark talking about why Texas canceled their spring game and see if you think that relates to Lincoln Riley canceling their spring game. Just take a listen to this.
We come to spring practice.
Are we not having a spring game?
No, we're not going to have a spring game.
Wow, breaking news. You're the best coach, Sark. And we're just
Well, I think a couple reasons why. Over the last 2 years, we've played 30 games.
Yeah,
and that's a lot for college football. Yes. 14 2 years ago, 16 this year. And I just mentioned we've had 25 guys get invited to the NFL Combine the last 2 years. So we've got a lot of young players on our roster. We have 21 mid-year high school kids that just showed up. And so the development that's needed for these guys to get ready for the fall is a little bit different than it used to be. And so our approach is going to be a little bit more NFL-driven, kind of more of an OTA style early on. And as we grow into more of the scrimmage formats in the second half of spring ball, that I just don't know rolling the ball out, playing the game when we only get 15 practices is the best for us to maximize the opportunities that we get. So it's going to be a little bit of a different approach, but I think college football's changed.
Coach, what are your thoughts on Sark's comments on why Texas canceled their spring game, and do you think USC is in the same boat as them?
Listen, as a guy growing up with Sark, JUCO product, I'm kind of disappointed in Sark taking this approach, but I also have never been in his shoes and had, hundreds of millions of dollars at my disposal as far as facilities, resources, oil money that they have in Austin, plus collectives paying millions, $20+ million rosters. I've never had those luxuries, so I can't speak for Sark, obviously. But as a JUCO guy, I would think that we know the grind and what it takes to actually get over the hump. If I'm Sark, I'm just thinking mentally and mentality-wise, I've come up short on arguably two of the most loaded rosters in the last 2 years. One losing to your former school, Washington, and now you lose to Ohio State, right? I don't know if that's the approach that I want to take. I'm kind of like adhering to the soft generation of players that I talk about every day on every show I go on. Right. Like, I want to go harder so we can get over the hump and beat one of these teams and win a natty. So I'm trying to figure out, if you don't do a spring ball, that's fine. But to say that we have a bunch of young players, these young kids play 7-on-7 year round.
Right.
I don't understand why do they need a break? Like, what do we need a break for? These aren't 32-year-old NFL vets that have been in the NFL for 10 years who play 18 games a year. You played 30 games in 2 years, and arguably in the softest generation I've ever seen. Why do we need a break? That's my only issue, my only comment, my only thing. I don't know if it's a cop-out. I don't know what it is. But I don't believe I believe now we're using this break thing so we can actually go find other players to pluck from other schools. Similarly to what Nebraska said is going to happen to them, I think these other schools, by not having spring ball, are actually out there looking to grab other players in the portal and coach their coaches and recruit during this downtime of not being on the football field and having to install, having to do all these things. The bigger picture is this, which I really truly believe it is, and I've said it a few years ago. Why am I coaching a team in the spring that isn't going to be there in the fall?
That's a good point.
That's what I think this is. I don't think it's anything to do. I just think they're telling you what they want you to hear, but I don't think that's the truth. I think the truth is they know damn well that this roster in spring is not going to be the roster in the fall, is because of how the NCAA and the portal has allowed football to become. They are going to have 3 portal openings. You're going to have a whole new set of 30 kids in the summer. You're going to get a whole new crew and going to have to reteach your coaches and reteach your players offense, defense, and special teams. And here's the reason why, for a former head coach to tell you, special teams is the number one reason. Because in special teams, if I have a spring ball with special teams, I have a bunch of guys who are renegade type of guys who will probably enter the portal, and after spring ball is over, and then I got to reteach kickoff, punt return, and kickoff return to a whole new group of renegades that I don't know if they're going to be there again. So I believe they're tired of reteaching, and this goes back to our show this morning with Sean King. If I'm going to pay you, as PK Subban said, and wanting the best players to get paid all this money, I would be pissed off too, though, in the coaches that are getting 10, 11, 12 million as Sark is. you should be coaching twice, 3 times, 4 times a year if that's what it requires at making 10, 12 million a year.
Yeah.
So there's 2 parts of this. You can take it how you want. I just gave you both sides of it. There's a problem, and I think that if you're demanded and you have to require to coach multiple times during the season, then that's what you need. You're making 10, 11 million a year, dog. And you have private jets. You got fucking golf course memberships. You don't pay for shit. Everything's comped in Texas. You are Texas. Let's be real. You should coach a couple times, and I would be coaching my coaches then. But I believe that's the truth.
Absolutely, and that brings me to my next question. If you are the head coach of USC in this wild, wild west era of NIL and transfer portal and college football, and you're the head coach, what are you doing? Are you holding a spring game? Are you not holding a spring game? How would you treat it if you're the head coach?
Yeah, I'm having a spring game. I probably won't have 15 practices, but I'll probably do something. I'll turn my spring game into tryout. Like not only for coaches, but for my players that I know will be there. I would do some sort of, I would do some mental checking during that time. I just don't see how you're sitting there all spring and doing what? Are you just going to lift and run? Because there's another burnout situation as well. We go from January to March heavy and hard in the weight room and conditioning hard. And then we have spring ball. So we lighten up on weights and conditioning because we have practice now. And then we go back to it for the summer. We get back to conditioning hard and lifting again. And then we dumb it down for fall install and fall camp. Now you're talking about going from January all the way to July with no spring ball in there. Right. So I'm trying to figure out, what are you doing now? I don't know. I'm not going to even talk on it. I don't know. Everyone's going to be different. I'm sure Sark and everybody's going to be different. I just don't know how you don't burn those kids out in that way either. Because football is ultimately the reason they're there. Football is the reason they want to be there. I know these schools make a shitload of money in spring games as well because they sell out arenas at Texas, Tennessee, Ohio State. Their spring games are huge. They're on TV. They're on Big 12 networks, Big 10 networks, Pac-12 SEC network. They have spring games. They cover the spring games. Nick Saban would be at the spring game on film, and they'd be covering them, and we watch their spring games over the year. That's a huge money get too. I want to know when the schools and everybody else is pissed off about that too. I don't know. It's a very slippery slope. But I think we're giving the players too much. The players want paid. They want to be able to enter the portal. They also want NIL deals. They want all this shit. Gimme. Make their asses earn it. Play. Like, have spring practice. I don't know. Like, earn your money. You're fucking making money now. So, I don't know. It's another way of letting them off the hook, in my opinion. And then we get to the season, and what we got? What do we got? How do we know? How do I know?
And we'll break down, the teams that hold the spring game versus don't. I think we'll see a lot. We're seeing a lot of teams elect to not hold the spring game, and we'll see how that affects the development in the offseason leading into the season. But, Coach, let's move forward. We got a couple more topics here we got to cover before we get out of here on this fine Monday on Slap Nation, our second show. If you're watching, hit that like button, subscribe, become a member of Slap Nation. Coach, I got to ask you, we're going to talk a little Raiders here for the rest of the show. The Raiders are believed to be one of the teams actively trying to trade up in the NFL draft for Cam Ward. Now, the Raiders hold the 6th overall pick in the 2025 NFL draft, and personally, I think they're going to elect to draft defense. But the rumor has it is that they're elected to trade up for Cam Ward, or if Shador falls to 6th, the rumor has it that they might pick Shador Sanders. Coach, Pete Carroll and the Raiders, do you think that any shot they trade up potentially with Tennessee in that number 1 pick for Cam Ward?
No, I don't think so. If it happens, then either Tom Brady and Deion's relationship trumps Pete Carroll's wish list, or I don't believe Pete Carroll, 73 years old, wants to build a quarterback. I just don't see it. I don't, but I could be totally wrong. I could see that happening if Pete Carroll was 61. I don't see it at 72, 73. I think he has too many holes to fill. And I don't think that Pete Carroll goes this route. There's too many free agents. I think free agent quarterbacks are going to be the number one roster filler this offseason, not the draft. I think the draft quarterbacks will be picked and selected for future. But I think this, I wouldn't be shocked, Bailey, if the quarterbacks that we all think are really good in this draft fall tremendously because of the pass rushers, the O-line, and the D-line strength of this draft and the lack of wideouts in this draft. I think that this could be a real bad quarterback draft. And I think we can see something we haven't seen in a long time. I think these guys can all fall out of the top 10 if the teams get what they want up front first and get the free agent quarterback that they want. So
I don't know if they fall that far, but
yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm just telling you, because the teams that need quarterbacks, and this is this particular case, the Raiders need so much. I believe they have to go after an older quarterback, whether that be Russell Wilson, whether that be Aaron Rodgers, whether that be Matthew Stafford in a situation that I don't see happening. They're going to go after an older quarterback. Even a Justin Fields makes more sense than a rookie, in my opinion. He's got experience. I think he has to go after an experienced guy over a rookie. Now, will they draft a rookie? Could. To start, I don't see it. I still think they get a free agent. You muted, baby. Is that you?
You're muted, sorry. But I think there's too many guys in the top 10 for the Raiders to not go after, especially two guys coming out of Michigan defensively, whether that's Mason Graham. I know they have Christian Wilkins there. Johnson, the corner, definitely could see the Raiders going after him. If the Raiders trade up, to be honest with you, and this might be a hot take or whatever, I think you trade up for Travis Hunter. If you're Pete Carroll, I don't think Pete Carroll goes and gets a rookie quarterback with that pick. I think he would elect to sign somebody that he's probably more familiar with, especially like you mentioned, he's older in age and whatever. But I think there's too many guys defensively, whatever, that Pete Carroll would not want to pass up. You remember, I get the Russell Wilson's rookie year in that draft, he drafted a DN at pick 17, the guy you coached, Bruce Irvin. He's not afraid to go and pick somebody instead of drafting a quarterback. I don't think he never drafted a quarterback in the first round with Seattle. So I don't see him starting to do that now in his old age with the Raiders.
Like I said, I've been saying all along, I wouldn't be shocked if they make a move with Cleveland to get Myles Garrett. So that's just my opinion, because I think that's what Pete Carroll's a defensive guy. Him and Max Crosby on the book edge is the cornerstone of that defense for Pete Carroll. He'll find some guys later in the draft that can help out in certain spots like a corner and safety and other guys. He's got to shore up an O-line. He's got to shore up a D-line interior-wise. He's got a great D-tackle already. Mm-hmm. So they got some pieces. If you go get another big-time pass rusher with Max Crosby, who's kind of hit the injury bug late in each year, if you go get another guy. By the way, they have a lot of cap space, money-wise.
They're right behind New England, over $80 million in cap space.
Yeah. So. I mean, so and speaking of the Rams also have some good cap. They got $41 million or something. So
yeah, definitely some working room there with the Rams.
So I mean, both teams here that we cover on this show, they got some cap space. It's going to be interesting. I'm just telling you, it's going to be interesting to see because they got the Watkins cat inside interior wise.
Christian Wilkins.
I'm not familiar with their backers. I know they got hit in the run game early on last year when Max went out. They got gashed a little bit interiorly. I don't know what their inside backers look like. And again, I frankly don't know what they ran. Pete Carroll's going to definitely shore up the defense schematically, so I'm not worried about that. And there's rumors out there that the Chargers are listening to Bosa moves. So
yeah, well, I think Joey Bosa's probably gone out of the Chargers. I'd be shocked if he were to come back with them. I think
I wouldn't be shocked if the Raiders got him. I wouldn't be shocked if the Raiders got him and maybe save some capital and going after a guy like Myles Garrett. You get a Bosa, who's also been in the injury bug, been riddled. You go get him or a Mac. If Mac doesn't stay, I can see the Raiders being the best to him.
Or let's not forget Abdul Carter. If God forbid Abdul Carter falls to 6, and there's a lot of freak DNs in the draft. You got the kid James Pierce from Tennessee, along with so many others. God forbid if any of them fall to 6. Don't watch out for the Raiders.
Yeah, I don't know if the Cleveland Browns pass him up.
You don't think so? I could see the Browns going quarterback. I could see a scenario where they go quarterback.
I don't believe there's a one out there though. That there's not a quarterback out there. Why would I draft a rookie if I still am stuck with Deshaun Watson, and I know I'm going to get him back, and I still have to pay him? I get a gap stop guy for a year if I have to keep Deshaun Watson. If I can get rid of his contract some type of legal way, then yes. But I don't see that happening. I don't think you can draft a quarterback in this draft in Cleveland, especially a guy that we're not really high on, just to get him. I can go get it. I can go get someone else, Bailey. I would have to draft Abdul Carter knowing that I may lose Myles Garrett, and there's guys out there. Like if I'm Cleveland for a year, I'm reaching out to Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I'm trying to grab me Justin Fields for a year.
That would be a good pickup. I don't know. Justin Fields Justin Fields is tough, man. I don't know where he can it's all about fit with him.
Here's why I say that. We'll get back to LA, but the only reason I say that is because you can run triple option with him. You can run the football with him with a good old line and play solid defense, not turn the football over, and then try to either replace Myles Garrett with an Abdul Carter or keep Myles Garrett and add Abdul Carter and make that defense so good if I don't turn the ball over on offense for a year if I get Deshaun back. I think Deshaun's cooked as a quarterback. So
let's not forget he's out the entire year next year. So,
yeah, he's done. So, that's why I don't see him draft a quarterback. Go ahead.
I think his career with the Browns is probably on the back end, and it hasn't even been there for very long. But I think, Cleveland, I don't know. We'll see. If any team in that top 5 or 6 were to take the bait and take a quarterback, I think it's either them or the Giants. So we'll see. Coach, I got to ask you, moving forward here, this is something that I think kind of Raiders topic, but we gotta discuss it. So, Last Chance U, Netflix show that you were on. First 2 seasons, though, Ronald Ollie, the star of Last Chance U at East Mississippi Community College in seasons 1, he talked about getting cut from the Raiders and dealing with John Gruden on a podcast, and I wanted to get your reaction to it, Coach. I'll show it and get your reaction. Take a listen.
Said that you got cut after take yourself out of a drill.
See, it wasn't even that.
But it said your Achilles, but then you ain't never go to no treatment, though.
But let me tell you what happened. Drew, this the trainer name in Oakland at the time. And he tell me, come to the treatment in the morning. I'm like, what time to come? Man, just come anytime between 6 and 10, man. You'll be all right. So I'm just like, all right, cool. I go at 8 o'clock. I walk in there. John Gruden got the net, got the cameras. He got a lot of people in there. And then he just look at me and just go crazy. Like, turn red, screaming and shit. Like, did I tell you, you're an undrafted rookie, you supposed to be ahead at 5:45 before the fucking training room even open. I'm like, God damn. I said, boy, I wish I would have known that. He going on his little rant. I look at him, I say, yes, sir. Bro, he turned red. Like, he was so mad that I just said, yes, sir. He wanted me to give him a reaction. But I'm just like, bro, I'm already staying up there. I ain't finna give you no reaction. Yeah, I know what you're trying to do. You feel me? I said, yes, sir. I knew I would cut after that.
Why you take yourself out the drill, though?
I ain't take myself out the drill. The coach took me out the drill. Brinson Buckner. Buck the one who told me that they set me up, bro, for Hard Knocks. So they set all that shit up for it to look like that so they can keep the narrative on me.
So they basically wanted to get you there because they was already having Hard Knocks.
All right.
They wanted to get you on.
Views, bro. Come on, bro. Money. Yeah. Come on. We know what we're
doing. Think about how John Gruden got the job.
Come on, bro.
What was he doing?
Coach, lots for us to unpack there. Ronald Ollie says that they had him on Hard Knocks for views as an undrafted rookie free agent. I get Last Chance U is huge, or was huge at the time. Coach, what are your takeaways from this? Thoughts? Go ahead.
I'm gonna text Darren right now, Bates, that's his show, the Raw Room. I'm gonna text him and ask him what he really thinks, because first of all, from what I know for a fact, that Gruden cussed his ass out because he was lazy and enabled. Everything I know about him at East Mississippi was exactly the same. And everything I know from him in college, who I had buddies coach him, was actually the same. So there's a trend here. And I can see as a coach and a player getting a response like, yes, sir. If it's a smart ass, yes, sir, I'm going off on your ass like Gruden probably did. And I could see that was the yes, sir that he got probably, right? I just think the kid has a reputation of being a shitbird, lazy, and why would I have to tell you? And the comment he made about, I wish I would have known that. You're in the fucking NFL as an undrafted free agent, son. You're trying to make a roster. You don't think you should be there before any fucking buddy else?
Right. That's a great point.
So listen, I'm not gonna. I didn't coach the kid. I know some players, obviously, that we've had on our show, like Isaiah Wright, and these guys are now involved in a big lawsuit right now with Netflix as well. Mm-hmm. I don't know the kid, so I'm not gonna sit here and talk about him as a character-wise. But all I know is what the history tells me. From JUCO to the 4-year he went to undrafted free agent with the Raiders, he was never considered a guy that wanted to get it done. He was always a blame everyone, point the finger, it's not me mentality, which was allowed by his head coach in Mississippi, by the way. So it is what it is. There's no way in the world that you could sit here and tell me, like, do I got to tell you as a fucking guy trying to make an NFL roster to get here early and leave late? If I do, then you don't belong in the NFL. If I do, you don't have to belong in the NFL. And Darren Banks I thought Darren was poking at him in that way just there. Because I think Darren looked at him and said, come on, homie. And by the way, the D-line coach that he was referring to in Buckner is probably regarded as one of the best D-line coaches in the history of NFL football.
Right. And
so, like, you think he picked on you to be on fucking Hard Knocks, homie?
Yeah, that's my next question. You really think they set him up to be on Hard Knocks? And
with Chucky there, do you think Chucky Gruden needs a guy, unrestricted free agent, as a guy to get likes?
Come on,
man. You're the Raiders, Bailey. You're the fucking Raiders.
Gruden
you sell more merch. You have a bigger fan base. You have more Raiders. It's not like the Jacksonville Jaguars who don't have a fucking following. You're the Raiders on Hard Knocks. We don't need Ronald Ollie, who was a nobody, undrafted free agent. Come on.
And he talks about Gruden and his interaction. Like you mentioned, Hard Knocks. And this is John Gruden and the Raiders. There's definitely plenty of viewership and eyes there. I don't know if they really set him up for views and clicks. I think that was kind of just a thing to say on a podcast to get some attention. But Coach, let me ask you on sticking to John Gruden. John Gruden's been hired at Barstool. What are your thoughts about John Gruden getting into the social media space, so to speak? We've seen him on TikTok at his Fired Football Coaches Association. What are your thoughts on John Gruden working at Barstool?
I think his management and his agent got together and said, let's follow Deion Sanders' footsteps. That's all. Deion went to Barstool, kept his name, kept it out there, kept his name relative, and got him a job eventually. I think Gruden's in the same boat. He's fighting a narrative that has him kind of in a blackball type of state in the coaching profession world anyway. And I think this shows him what personality the coaching business is missing. Mm-hmm. So eventually, maybe it takes another year or so, but eventually, obviously he's missed this cycle. Eventually, maybe somebody brings him back and says, oh man, this guy's a good dude. I want this guy back on our sideline. I think it's smart in that regard. Plus, I'm sure Portnoy's paying him pretty hefty, and he's probably making money on the side on other things he's doing. And especially his name and everything is going to blow up in this space on social media like it is. So I think he does a great job. He's showing it, and it still looks forced to me. I'm just going to be honest. Knowing John, knowing both Jay Gruden and John, I still think he looks forced and uncomfortable in this space. I don't think he's a social media guy. I think he's doing it because the bag is so big. I think he's doing it because definitely wants to be coaching and actually back to motherfucking real players, not fucking some fat fucking wobble body on Barstool who knows nothing about the sport.
Right. No, I agree with you there. I think it's definitely a good angle for John Gruden, especially with the way he went out with the Raiders and kind of just, his image coming from the NFL. I think people kind of looked at him sideways. Now with Barstool, I think he's kind of redeemed his image, so to speak. Before we get out of here, I wanted to show John Gruden. He actually went on a little rant talking about how there's all these football fields being built and all these new turf fields being built with no kids on them. Take a listen.
I buy the fields every day, and there's nobody on the fields, man. What the hell are we building all these fields for if no one's using them? You got gates all around them and won't let people play on them? It pisses me off. You build all these beautiful fields and lock the gates. Then you go watch the football team play, and there's only 22 guys on the team. No one's playing anymore.
What do you think about that? Real talk or jaw-jacking?
Real talk. I said it a few years ago. We don't see anyone on basketball courts. You don't see anyone on football courts. Nobody goes out and plays no more. Obesity is at the highest rate ever in United States history. And we have more gyms and vitamin shops than any other country in the world.
Yeah, that is true.
Okay. So why? And it is what it is. This is the lowest participation of high school athletics that we've ever seen. We have a fucking referee shortage from youth football to high school football. We have women infiltrating the sport. This is a bad space. This is why I say American sports are dying right in front of our very eyes. But what do I know? This is what it is. Like, go just drive around in your neighborhood, in your hood. Go drive around in your fucking hood and go to a basketball place that used to grew up playing on the asphalt. Nobody's there no more. They're playing video games. They're playing fucking Snapchat or whatever the fuck you guys call it. They're playing fucking They're doing TikTok. There is no more come back when the lights hit. You better be your ass in the house when the lights hit. There's no more of that. Motherfuckers can do whatever they want, stay out all night. They're 11, 12-year-old. I know motherfuckers 11, 12 years old out till midnight, 1 in the morning. So, and they're doing content, drag racing and shit in L.A., and their parents, where the fuck are you? Listen, I don't know. It is what it is, but I don't know why we're building fields if we don't want anyone on there.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
But I do know why, and it's about money again, because they're building fields and they're building these hybrid fields which have soccer lines on them.
Yep.
And they're charging clubs to go out and rent these fields that they're building, big time money. It's a $1 billion industry, this soccer club sport thing. And you got these club sports renting these facilities instead of allowing the inner city youth to go out and use the fields. And then you got the other side of it where these shitbird kids will go on your field and absolutely destroy it because they have no investment in it. They don't care. They don't know what it is. So, so you got to lock the gates. So like it's a big old fucking, we have a huge issue, man, in America with everything that I just mentioned. But yeah, we're building them only because they're not building them for free and locking the gates. They're building them to rent them out. And that's what it is. And soccer is the number one culprit. Soccer is renting these things out for these clubs. One of the biggest club soccer things are right here in Southern California. And I'm just telling you, if you heard what the guy that I know runs it makes, you'll shit on yourself. And he's fucking making millions. And these are little ass kids, club soccer, little ass kids making fucking millions. This guy has such a big facility. He's got 100 teams out there playing on a weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got 100 fucking fields out here. It's a huge, looks like a farm of fields. So, just saying.
I can't tell you how many times.
This thing I gave you, go to this Fresno State thing. I want to go back to our lack of spring ball take. Fresno State basketball players are under investigation for reportedly placing bets on their own games. Now, we're going back to the spring ball and guys canceling spring football here at USC, Texas, Ohio State. Give. Don't expect. And this is what you get. You get cancellation and you will get enabled fucking entitled kids. So these kids who can enter a portal at any time, tell a guy at Miami who just went to a Final Four that, hey, I like it here, but I want to leave and transfer because there's more money somewhere else. And then you get NIL money and still have to gamble?
Oh yeah, I don't understand this. Especially betting. They're betting the under, so they're betting, they're not going to score, not going to get a certain.
So let me ask you: are you betting your NIL money?
Wouldn't that be ironic?
So you're taking your NIL money. No, that's what they're doing. I'm telling you, they're taking their NIL money. They're betting on themselves with their NIL money, and then they still have the audacity to fucking transfer and bitch and moan and enter the portal. And now we got bigger scale things of USC, Ohio State, Texas canceling spring games because they're worried about getting their players posts. We have enabled these kids on such a large scale that we cannot ever get the reins back. I'm just telling you.
Oh yeah, there's no going back to what it was. Absolutely.
And Barry, correct me if I'm wrong. Have you heard anybody talk about class checks?
Oh no, come on.
GPA. See, coaches used to put their GPAs on social media. Our spring GPA was 3.1 here at North Carolina. Our spring GPA was 2.9 here at fucking USC. By the way, 2.7, 2.9 as a team is pretty fucking good when 100 players. Mm-hmm. 3.0 and all that is unbelievable. What happened to all that? See, that's the thing. This is professional football now, and we're canceling. So this would be the equivalent of canceling OTAs and minicamp.
Yeah, and you think about it. You talking about GPAs. The only school that I've really see boasting it too much is in any way is Colorado. But you got to consider with all the transfers and how many are those classes that would have been taken 20 years ago, or is it online classes that are a lot easier to pass? Something that I don't hear anybody mention that I could tell you someone who just was in school. It's a very real thing.
It's all online. And I'm just saying, you're betting, you're allowing. I'm just telling you, you've allowed bettors and this DraftKings and FanDuel and all these things to infiltrate your kids because now you've given them money. I told you paying these college kids would be the end of all college athletics as we know it. I said that 4 years ago. The manner in which you handled NIL was the worst possible way to handle it, and now it is coming back to bite you in the ass. NCAA, Non-Carrying Assholes of America. And even though Fresno State basketball players have been caught, don't think it ain't happening at a fucking football school near you.
Yeah, exactly. Great point. And I think the system is flawed when it's put together, and not really. We're transitioning to this revenue sharing era of college football. Hopefully, we see some normalcy. But I think it's far gone now. And this is what it is, the Wild Wild West. But an interesting development with these Fresno State basketball players betting the under. They're supposedly with their own NIL money. Unbelievable. Coach, yeah, that's just crazy. Great show on this fine Monday. Second show of Slap Nation here. I guess we're off the rest of this week, right? And then we'll be back starting Monday, Wednesday, Friday going next week.
We can do a Friday show if you want. Wednesday I'm stuck, though.
Okay, so we'll be back. Let's do Friday. We'll be back.
You want to do Friday? We can do Friday.
Yeah, we do Friday. We'll be back here Friday. Talk USC, UCLA. Got to talk a little bit more Chargers. We didn't get to talk too much Chargers today, but if you're watching,
Davante Adams has visited the Chargers facility. He's in LA. I believe he's going to be a Ram or a Charger. That has to be topic of the next show because I'm thinking if it doesn't happen this week, it'll happen here shortly. I think he's going to live in LA some way. He'll be a Ram or a Charger. That is what I think Davante Adams' next move will be. I think he'd rather be with Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay. Even though Harbaugh and Herbert's a hard pass, I still think that the resume in the Rams facility outweighs the resume in the Chargers one as of right now. Even though Harbaugh's building it, I think if I am Davante Adams, I would want to be a Ram, especially on the older side of things as he is. So we'll see. I've heard rumors, too, that Keenan Allen may be coming back west.
Really?
Crazy.
Rams? Damn. That'd be huge. Give Stafford another weapon, or God forbid if Stafford's out of there. We'll see. We got a lot to talk about and discuss. See how things really develop here in the next week or two. Great show on this fine Monday. We covered USC canceling the spring game and the developments of that. We covered Matthew Stafford wanting $50 million a year contract and the Rams allowing Matthew Stafford's agent to seek trades to other teams. And there's 4 teams interested in Matthew Stafford: the Browns, the Steelers, the Giants, and the Raiders. So we discussed that and so much more. Great show. If you're watching, hit that like button, subscribe, and become a member of Slap Nation. Coach, you got any closing thoughts before we get out of here?
Nah, we're good. Don't be a slapdick. We'll see you on Friday.
I will see you on Friday. If you're watching, I'll be live on 0 to 60 with Matt McChesney here in an hour, so head on over there. I'll be live on my channel tomorrow and Thursday. And we will be live on the Coach JB Show, Big Smitty, tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Pacific. Thank you guys all for watching. Great show. Show love to some of our videos that we'll post this week, and we will be back here on Friday on Slap Nation. Thank you for watching, and enjoy your Monday. Peace.
Hey, well, fuck it. I'll go home tonight. I'll drink my yak and smoke my stick, and I'll get it back.